Hello everyone and welcome to Small Farm Living. Have you ever wondered if it's really necessary to take the little seedlings that you started and transplant them or pot them up into larger pots? Does it really make a difference? Well, today I'm going to talk about it and show you some of my transplants. Let's get started. What I'm referring to today is if you watched my seed starting video, which if you haven't, I will link that down below. But we started this whole tray right here, and we started the stalk flowers in that video, all from seed. The stalk are in these little soil blockers, and after you water them quite a bit, you can't really see the individual blocks. But if I get down here onto the side, you can see how big they're already getting. They're nice and healthy. They've been under the grow lights, and they've been close enough to the grow lights where they're not reaching and stretching for the light. So they're nice, stocky little plants. And over here, we have some straw flower. This is my Rudbeckia Sahara. And over here is my Sweet William. And Sweet William always tends to be a little bit floppy. They're directly under the lights just like everything else. But we are going to pot these up. And the reason why I like to do that is because when I have seedlings that I've planted, say in February, March, even into early April, and they tend to take a little bit longer to grow, or they're a cool flower like this stalk and I can plant them outside now that we're in March. Probably by the latter part of March I'll get these put in the ground. I like to give them more room to develop and get big. Now if we were doing plants that I started in late April or early May, I probably wouldn't bother with transplanting because it wouldn't be too long before they would go out into the soil. So now before we get to transplanting, I need to get my soil prepared, or my soilless mix. And I keep a large garbage can in here, and it has a lid on it. And I sift all of the pro-mix that I use to get the largest pieces out. It's not quite as important to me when I'm transplanting as it is when I'm planting seedlings, but I still sift most of the bigger stuff out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and scoop the soil from here into this tub, and this is actually a concrete mixing tub that I got at a big box store. It works fabulous. This is the largest one. I do have the medium-sized one as well. I use them both, and I'm going to put water in this. I'm going to mix it so that the consistency is nice and damp but not too wet, so that when I transplant the young seedlings into their new pots, their roots aren't going to dry out, and it's going to be much easier for them to spread out and continue to grow. So what I do, because I don't have any way to have warm water down here in the greenhouse, I don't have a water heater or any hot water spigot close by. So what I do is I just put some water from the bathtub in a bucket, and I make sure that it is fairly warm because it will cool off once it comes down here. And I just use that water to mix into this mix. And the reason why I do that is because if I were to use the really cold hose water, that in itself would be a shock to my little plants, because you have to remember they just came out of my seed starting room, which stays fairly warm. So I'm just going to get this mixed up here. I don't want to be in your way, but I might have to put a little more water in here. But I'm going to get this mixed up. Again, just to the consistency that I like it, like I say, damp but not overly wet. And just like I was showing in my seed starting video, if I were to take this and clump it, it makes a little ball, but if I bump it, it falls apart. No water is wringing out of it. And that just allows it to be evenly damp, so that even after I put them in there and I water them for the first time from the bottom, it's much quicker and easier for this medium to absorb the water than when you start with it being really dry. So I'm going to fill up some of my new pots, and then we will get to transplanting. Okay, I am on the last 3 little pots that I need to fill up my whole tray. And I just want to kind of show you what I do. I just scoop some soilless mix in there. I give it a little tamp on my hand. I put a little more in there so it's full up to the top. And the reason why I do this is because I don't want this packed like a brick, but I want to tamp it so that it compresses enough to where there's not a whole lot of air pockets in there, which, just like the soil being dry, is not good for the roots. Neither is a whole bunch of air pockets, because those will dry them out as well. So I'm going to finish doing the last 2. And now we will start to transplant. And first we're going to start with the stock that we did in these little soil blocks. And I'll show you how I take those apart. When I prepare the spot to put them in, I just take, this is real high tech, this is just a bamboo barbecue skewer. And I just use this to make a little round indentation into the pot that I'm going to be putting them in. And then I come over here to my soil blocks and I will pick these up. And as you can see, I'll flip it over here, see the web of roots that are down under there? Now breaking these apart isn't going to hurt them, but I really wouldn't want them to get much more matted than that. That's why I do like to transplant them, simply because I start these so much earlier in the season. Even though I probably have another 3 weeks before I'll put them out into the garden, by putting them into these bigger pots, they're going to grow bigger, their root structure is going to become stronger, and they'll be a lot tougher for going outside. So all I do is, you can kind of see when I break it apart, there is still the indentations of each individual soil block. So I can just take this one. Usually what I like to do is just take a whole row and gently separate it. This one came off the other row. But then I just take each individual little plant and I try to be as delicate as possible. I take it apart and then I put it down into that little indent that I made, and then very gently press, probably can't see that one, can you? And gently press the soil around it. So I'll put this one down in there. And you never want to grab the stem of the plant right here. That will damage it. So if you have to lift anything, lift it by the leaves up here, or if you're the soil blocks, it's really easy to, not damage any of that. But these soil blocks are a little bit bigger than the indentation that I made, so I'll just make it a little bigger with my finger. And for the sake of this video, I'm not wearing my gloves. Most of the time I do, but they feel kind of clunky sometimes when I'm transplanting. I feel like I almost can't. I like to feel what I'm doing, I guess. And so, yeah, so I'm just going to work on transplanting some of these. I'll let you watch for a little bit, and then we will switch over to the actual ones that were not in soil blocks, but were just done in a plug tray. This was a little seed that just kind of fell off to the side of the soil block, and it decided to germinate anyway. So we will go ahead and pot him up. Now, if you touch the roots, it's not going to hurt them as long as you're as gentle as you can be. There's kind of no way to avoid that when you're getting them put into these little cells. All right, I will just finish up this one little 4-pack here. Then I will come back and show you once the tray is finished. Okay, I got this tray done. There was all but 2 little trays, little pot trays down here that I was able to fill. So we will put something different in there. But now what I'm going to do is, even though I will bottom water these as well, I do like to go over the top of these very gently with just a little bit of water. And the reason I like to do that is it actually takes the soilless mix and it secures it. I'm going to have to fix that one. It secures it around the roots. What it does is it tightens it up so that there's not a lot of air in between the roots and the soil mix. And if you're careful enough, you won't bonk the plants to where they fall over. And if they do, you can just go back and adjust them. but I just like to use just a little bit. It probably looks like a lot on here, but it's not that much. Okay, so now that we got this tray done, we are going to move on to the other ones. Now we're moving on to the ones that we didn't start in soil blocks. They're down here. Some of them I didn't have very good germination. My onion seeds were really old, so I only got one, so I'm going to have to redo those. But what we're going to do is we're going to put them in the 6-cell pack, and I will show you. They're a little bit larger. Again, I went over these in a different video if you're interested in that. But the reason why I'm doing that is because on these, if I can get you down here low enough to show you, you can see how long these little plug trays are. And if you can see those little roots already coming out at the bottom there, they are definitely ready to be moved up. So I just want to have enough soilless mix in these pots to accommodate. I don't want to take something that's in a large enough pot already and put it into an even smaller pot. So I will get you set up and show you how I do those. All right, first thing I'm going to do is, this is in my 3-part tray. So I have my water tray on the bottom, and then I have these in a mesh tray, and then I have the actual pot. So what I'm going to do is just remove those two and bring these back up here. And it's not always easy to do, but on the bottom side of these, you can see are the little holes. And if you're careful enough, you should be able to give them a little squeeze, and then I take my barbecue skewer, you see that, and I just lightly push it up, and it allows me to pull the whole plug out. So I'm going to do that with several of these here. I'm hoping that the camera is at a good enough angle so that you can see it. And some of the, like this one, the soil medium is a little too damp. They tend to work better if they're on the drier side when you try to take them out. So these ones do not want to come out the conventional way. So what I will do is I will take my barbecue skewer and I'll just gently loosen it up from inside there. And then I can bring it out like this. And you'll notice that this one, it didn't have as much soil that remained on it. Some of it came off in here. That's simply because the root system isn't as developed as the other one was. Some of these have 2 seeds that fell into one tray. We're just going to gently separate those. But I'm going to work on getting as much of these out as I can, and then I will show you how I put them into these trays. Bring you a little closer here. And you'll notice how if I need to hold onto the plant, I'm holding very gently onto the leaf. This one doesn't have much of a stem. It's pretty close to the soil, but I try to avoid touching the stem at all times. And this is just a little tiny guy, just a seedling. He barely has any kind of root. You can just see, hopefully, the one little root that he has going. I'm just going to instantly make a little indent here, pop him in so I don't disturb him at all. And he should be just fine. Now, because these are so much bigger as far as the depth, I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just going to make a big well down into the center. See if I can gently come down here and show you this. If you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is just very gently, might have to make it a little wider, just secure him down in there and gently press down the top of the soil. Oh, and you know what? So I didn't even pay attention before I put this little guy in the soil, but if you notice, there are 3 little individual plants in here. There's this one, and this one. So I'm going to show you how I just very gently pull them apart, and I'll put them each in their own individual cell. Normally I like to do it before I get them put in there, but we can still do it. I'll just take my skewer and I'll very gently just tease the roots down here at the bottom. Maybe I'll pull it out so you can see better. But I'll take a hold of the leaves so I try not to damage them. And then I can pull them apart. So now I have this one plant. He will go in here. Firm the soil up around him. Now I have these 2 little guys. I'll get this one put down in here. And this one down in here. That happens a lot of times with me when I have seeds that are maybe small, or I'm sprinkling. I tend to get more than one plant or one seed in each cell, and I get multiple plants, like this one as well. This one has 2, so I'm going to try to just break up some of the soil down here and very gently. There have been times I've actually lost a few plants doing this, but most of these are pretty tough, so they'll snap back. They might be a little shocked at first, but they'll snap back. And definitely, we would love to have you subscribe to the channel, and I will be showing progress on all of the seedlings and all the things that we are doing, just as well as all kinds of fun stuff that we do around here. We try to keep it very lighthearted and low-key. And even though I've been doing this, growing from seed, transplanting, all this for almost 30 years, I'm still learning. I still love to watch and learn new things. But I'm just trying to share with you the knowledge that I have and the way that I do things that I've found that work for me, and hopefully you'll find those helpful. And if you have any questions, just drop a comment down below, and I'd love to read them and get back to you on those. And we'll just keep transplanting away here. It has 2 as well. I've got a lot of doubles going on in here. This one is pretty tiny. I don't know if you can see it from that distance, but there is a possibility that one may not make it, but we'll still give it a shot. Sometimes they surprise you. I'm just chuckling at myself. I have so many doubles here. In fact, I think almost every single one of these is a double, at least a double. I had the one that was the triple. That's okay. These are absolutely gorgeous, so I'll take it. So we are all done transplanting. This is our stalk flower. These are straw flower. These are the rudbeckia. And these back here are sweet williams. And then I had a bunch of sweet pea seeds, and I just decided to go ahead and plant those. These are going to stay down here. I'm going to cover over the top of them with a mesh tray, just in case any mice decide they want to try and dig them out. I do hang some mint tea bags around because mice don't like the smell of mint, and that seems to have helped really well. But even though the stalk flowers, these over here, could actually take the colder temperatures because of the protection of the greenhouse plastic, I want to take them all back inside at least for another week, just so the shock of transplant is minimized. I don't want to add extreme cold temperatures on top of that. So that is what they look like. And in a future video, we will do a progress report update on how much they have grown before we actually get to the point that we can take them outside and plant them. So that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed watching the process of transplanting and getting a little bit of insight into why I transplant when I do, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you can join us on all our future content. And until next time, I appreciate hanging out with me. We'll see you then.